video here of my mill and lathe, give you a little close-ups on stuff I've done. I'm going to try recording this in 4K with this GoPro 10, learning how to use it and maybe editing a little bit better than I have been. Just a practice video, and I'll show you a little bit of things I've done to the lathe and to the mill. Okay, we'll walk over to the mill, the lathe first. Okay, on the tailstock, I completely stripped that down when I got this lathe out of California, and cleaned it all up, painted it. I did put a new spindle in. I got it from LeBlanc, and luckily they're still able to sell parts for these older pieces of equipment. This is a 68, and I was able to get a new quill for it. And then I put a 18N Super Chuck on here because I like using, I can go up to 3/4 of an inch on diameter on stuff on that. And then I did this to the taper attachment. I've used this quite a bit. Actually, right now it's set up for approximately an R8 taper, and I made an adjustment. Instead of having to tap it back and forth with a rubber mallet to get it set, I did a fine adjustment with a fine 5/8 threaded rod with a universal joint here that swivels with a 1/4 inch 20 thread on the end, and then this end swivels too, so both of them can pivot as it moves forward and backward, and then it can lock it down with the bolts and stuff, and it's pretty accurate. It works fairly good. I've used it a couple times already, and I like using the taper attachment because you don't have to sit there and crank the compound back and forth all by hand. And then on the gearbox here, I had that stripped completely apart, put a few new seals in it, checked the bearings and stuff in there, and the seals and everything, and cleaned everything up, put it all back together, and put that back on, and adjusted it so everything was good and tight on stuff there. And then I did buy a 6-jaw chuck for this. It's one of the Shars brands. But if you know anything about Chinese products, you'll know they're dirtier than hell when you first get them. You gotta strip them all down, clean out all the little particles and the grinding dust and crud out of them, and deburr spots, because they never even deburr and clean stuff. It's okay for a cheaper 6-jaw chuck, but I still paid $1,100 for that thing, which, I don't know, probably been better off with a good used one. And then I put a Ditron 2-axis DRO on here. I'm not real happy with DRO so far that I've got 2 Ditrons, because if I need to take off 10 thousandths and I dial in, say, 8.5, it could take a 9 or 11 off. It's not accurate. It's off usually always a couple thousandths. That's why you've got to towards the end you have to use your mics and mic everything, get it accurate. And then also, watching some of the videos of A-bombs and stuff, I built a spider for this, so I can put up to 1.5 inches through this spindle, and then if it's a longer piece, I can adjust it with 4 adjustment screws to keep it centered up so it don't flop around in there very far. And then I did build this chuck wrench holder here for my 4-jaw. I slip in here and put that in once in a while from using the 4-jaw chuck that's mounted into the 6-jaw chuck. And then this is a chuck wrench I made for the 6-jaw, and it's indexable back and forth with a ball and spring in there to lock it in place. Actually, this end's loose. I'm gonna have to check that, tighten it up. I made one for A-bomb for his new American Pacemaker 4-jaw, and it shows it on one of the videos, and it's long, a 3/4 inch long handle that stretches way out so you can get a lot of torque on that. And it works pretty good. Okay, let's go over to the mill now, and we'll take a look at a couple things on that. On this, I put new lead screws in the X and Y axis and nuts, and had the table and everything all apart, checked everything out, and it's a little bit tighter. It was really loose at first. Now I've got it down to not very many thousandths on the backlash on that. And then I put the same DRO, had this on here first before the lathe. It's the Ditron one too, but you know, they're just not accurate, but they're a little faster than reading your dial all the time. And then I just got this Tegra 6-inch milling vise on here, and it works good. It's probably not the top end, but it's pretty good vise. And then I put the X and Z power feeds on here, and I really use the X a lot, and I do use the Z a lot because with this, this one doesn't have the extra step up in the head, so you can lift it up another 6 inches. So you really run this thing up and down constantly to, instead of cranking it all the time, and it works really good. And then when I put the power feed on the X-axis, I had a couple extra handles I could use, so I took one of them, made a speed handle for the vise, and just welded a 3/4 inch socket to it, and it works real nice for a speed handle to adjust the vise real fast. And then of course down here I have my other parts and stuff for the mill, chucks and Noga tools and stuff, and then all my parallels. Okay, that's probably going to do it for this video. I just wanted to try a 4K short one, show you my lathe and mill on this one, and then of course, wait a minute, one more thing. I'm right here now anyway. I've got this cart here that I use for my tools I use all the time, and they're my C&MG 431, 432 tools, and of course the homemade chamfering tool, my parting tool, and a couple other ones on here. All right, that's going to do it for this one. I'm going to go ahead and get this one loaded up and send it out. See you later. Probably, well, the next one's going to be the number 3 on the carriage lock. I'm going to finish that up in a day or so and get that on, so you can see the rest of that tool I made for well, it's actually a part of the lathe that I made, and it's going to be kind of interesting. I think it'll work pretty good. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.